Ohio. Tel Aviv Jaffa, the joint city municipality in Israel on east coast of the Mediterranean Sea, the second in Israel on population. 460,613 people for 2020. The economic and cultural center of the country. It was formed in April 1950 by merge of rather young city of Tel Aviv to the ancient city of Jaffa. Initially Tel Aviv was based as the Jewish suburb of Jaffa. Is in 65 came to the northwest from the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. According to the Central Statistical Bureau of Israel, the population for the beginning of 2020 made 460,613 people. Tel Aviv is the second, after Jerusalem, in size the city of the country, but overtakes him in the rating of the global cities. In 2018, 90.2% of the population of the city were made by Jews. Arabs made 4.5%. Of them 82.5% Muslims and 16.7% Christians. Natural increase of the population is 1.7%. 14.5% of the population the repatriates who arrived after 1990. For 2014 repatriates made 9% of the population of the CISIS. 72.6% of graduates of schools received the school leaving certificate, 48.1% of the population have the certificate on the higher education. The average salary for 2017 was 11606 shekels. Agglomeration Gush Dan, besides Tel Aviv, includes the cities of Holon, Bat Yam, Ramat Gan, Bnei Brak, Givatayim and a number of settlements. Around Gush Dan there is also following ring of almost continuous urban development formed by the accrete cities of Petah Tikva, Rishon LeZion, Herzliya, Kiefer Ra'anana, Ramat, Hod Sharon, the Shouting Yehuda, Kiryat Ono, Yeked Monasan, with a number of smaller settlements. The pioneer settlement in the territory of the modern city appeared in the Neolithic. It was located on riverbanks Yarkon. In a Bronze Age of the settlement were formed also on Tel Gris and Tel Yafo. They were surrounded with powerful strengthenings. At excavation crocks, weapon, cult objects were found. Thanks to security from waves and winds, the harbour Jaffa turned into the important port on this side of the coast. For the first time Jaffa is mentioned in the 15th century BB in the list of the cities occupied by the pharaoh Thutmose of III. Jaffa was under the power of Egyptians till 12th century BB when the city was occupied by the people of the sea. Jaffa is mentioned in the Bible as port through which imported trees for construction of the first and second temples. At the time of the Israeli kingdom Jaffa was the big strengthened city. Tel Aviv was founded in 1909 as the new Jewish quarter of Jaffa and Akuzet Beit was called. In the territory of Tel Aviv ruins of the ancient Philistimsky settlement of Tel Kasila are located. In 1910 the eminent Zionist Berson Menahem Shenkin offered the name of the first translation into Hebrew of the utopian novel of the founder of Zionism Theodor Herzl, Alt Neuland, as a name of quarter. L2. The Old New Country. Made Nakham Sokolov. On May 21, 1910 at a general meeting of residents of the quarter Akuzet Beit the new name, Tel Aviv, was by a majority vote chosen. The name Tel Aviv meets in the Tanakh, and it is translated from Hebrew as the Hill of Spring. Tel A bear over the hill, having wound. Spring revival updating. Soon from a quarter the city which became the center of reception of the Jews arriving in mandated Palestine grew. In the beginning it were mainly natives of Russia and Poland. With arrival in Germany to the power of Nazis to Palestine, natives of Germany rushed, many of which settled in Tel Aviv. It affected also the image of the city. Architects of the German school, Bauhaus, worked on building of Tel Aviv in the 1930th years. Houses were under construction, 2-3-story concrete streets as strictly perpendicular or parallel to the coast. Creation of inexpensive Massachusetts housing was a main goal of construction. Houses of those times are an architectural monument today, and thanks to them Tel Aviv is entered in the list of cultural values of UNESCO under name White City. The city promptly expanded and became actually the center of the Jewish community of Palestine. In 1948 in Tel Aviv, in the house of the first mayor Emeritus Ngofa in Boulevard Rothschild, proclaimed National Council led by David Ben-Gurion about formation of the independent state of Israel. The Knesset, the Israeli parliament, which was called first as Constituent Assembly, for the first time gathered in Tel Aviv. The first meetings took place in the Tel Avivsky Museum when the last still settled down in Dizengoff's house in Boulevard Rothschild. From March 8 to December 14, 1949 meetings took place in the Tel Aviv Movie Theatre Kesem, which was located on the area of the Knesset. Ticker Hall, the Knesset. Between Hoyarkin Street and Tel Avivskaya Embankment, in the place where in 1993 the office housing estate with Migdal Shopping Center Opera was built. Meetings of the Knesset took place also in the San Remo Hotel located in Tel Aviv. On December 26, 1949 the Israeli parliament moved to Jerusalem. In April 1950 young Tel Aviv and ancient Jaffa were united in new administrative education, Tel Aviv, Jaffa. Tel Aviv became the economic center of the country, gradually growing together with the neighboring cities. Now all coast of the Mediterranean Sea to the north from Tel Aviv on 50 km up to Hadera is continuous urban development. The coast to the south of Tel Aviv is also continuous urban development to Rishon LeZion. Tel Aviv is the most eclectic of the cities of Israel. Modern skyscrapers along high-speed Allen motorway coexist with one two-storied building of the first half of the 20th century in the region of Neve Tzedek, rich districts of northern Tel Aviv, with old Tekana Markazit slums. City bus station. Hotels and pubs on Mediterranean Sea embankment, with offices of the business and technological centers. In the summer of 2008, the New York Times newspaper proclaimed Tel Aviv the capital of the Mediterranean high. Capital of the Mediterranean cool. Tel Aviv is extended along the Mediterranean coast on 13.5 km, the maximum removal from the sea in the north and the south, up to 7 km, in the center up to 3.5 km. After adoption of the 478th resolution of UNESCO, almost all foreign embassies which were located there moved to Tel Aviv from Jerusalem. In Tel Aviv there are most important institutions of science and culture. Tel Aviv University, Tel Avivsky Museum of Art, Museum of Diaspora HN, House Museum and many others. Mediterranean climate. Winter warm and rainy. Average temperature of January, the coldest month, plus 13.3 C. Snow is exclusively rare. The last snowfall was observed in February, 1950. Summer long and hot. The warmest month, August. His average temperature of plus 27.0 C. However, heat waves are more characteristic of spring when temperature can reach plus 45 C and above. Rainfall goes generally to the period from November to March. In Tel Aviv there is a Ministry of Defense of Israel and also the General Staff of Israel Defense Forces. Tel Aviv is the most important transport hub of Israel, the main transfer point for all lines of the Israeli railroads and the bus companies. Railway transport. Tel Aviv is the center of a system of the railroads of Israel. The highway passes along eastern frontier of the city from the north on the south. From 4 railway stations of the city. Tel Aviv, the university, Tel Aviv, the center, Tel Aviv, Hashel, Tel Aviv, Hakagana. Trains go on the south. Ashdod, Ashkelon, Beersheba. To Jerusalem, Petah Tikva and Rishon LeZion. Round-the-clock trains go to the north. Haifa, Nahariya. And also to the airport of David Ben Gurion and to the south to Beersheba. Bus transport. City transport in Tel Aviv is carried out by cooperative Dan. There are also city lines of the Ejd and Kavim companies connecting Tel Aviv to the next suburbs. Long-distance transportations are made by the Ejd company from 2 bus terminals, Arlazarav stations in a northern part of the city, near the railway station of Tel Aviv Center, and the central bus station in the southern part of the city, the second in area bus station in the world. The Easily Rail Transport System of Tel Aviv works on laying of the first line of the Easily Rail Transport System of Tel Aviv, in life sometimes mistakenly called by the light subway, along a route Bath Holes, Jaffa, Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, Bnei Brak, Petah Tikva are conducted. Opening of the line is planned by 2021. The Tel Avivsky subway. In 2015 it was offered to construct in addition to an Easily Rail system the subway of 3 lines. Construction of the first line, the north-south, is planned to begin in 2024. Air traffic. The airport of David Ben Gurion is a distance of 23 km from Tel Aviv, in the suburb of Lod, and is the main air gate of Israel. Within the city there was also city airport of Dov Haz, Sde Dov, serving the intra-Israeli civil flights to Eilat, Rosh Pinna, Kiryat Shmona and Ein Yahav, and also military transport flights to Israeli Air Force air bases. It is closed in 2019. The territory is transferred under the housing estate. The motor transport through Tel Aviv. Many highways, the most important of which Highway Allen, Highway No. 20, which is passing through each part of the city from the north on the south along the bed of the river of the same name and having 7 outcomes in the territory of the city. 1. The largest main streets, Namir Highway, goes north to Highway No. 2 conducting to Haifa, Menahem Begin Highway, on the east to Ramat Gan, Bnei Brak and Petah Tikva, and some other. Daily experiencing flow of 500,000 cars, Tel Aviv suffers from transport glut. Automatic network of bicycle rental of Telefon. Healthcare. The medical center of Suraski is in the downtown, and is the main city hospital of Tel Aviv. It includes City Hospital, Ikelev, Pediatric Hospital, Dana, Lai Maternity Hospital, buildings of the rehabilitation and cardiological centers. The Asuta Hospital in northern Tel Aviv is the biggest private hospital in Israel. Generally, elective surgical procedures are carried out. Daily outpatient treatment is performed by the city polyclinics belonging to one of 4 health insurance funds of Israel: Clalit, Moithedit, Maccabi and Luyimit. Culture and art. Tel Aviv is the homeland of modern Hebrew and the main center of modern Ivritsky culture. Most theaters of Israel is based here. Most the editorial offices of daily newspapers in Hebrew, except serving religious audience, are in Tel Aviv. Haaretz, Mariv, Idiot Akronot, the economic newspapers, Kolkolist and The Marker, the free daily newspaper Israel Hayam. In Tel Aviv there are several tents, concert and auditoriums, the numerous museums and galleries. Repertoire theaters. Gabim, Gesher, Chamber Theater, Beit Lesson Theater, Yiddishski Theater, Yiddishpol. The Israeli Opera, several ballet ensembles. The Israeli Ballet, Batchev, Batdor, etc. A great number of the rock and jazz collectives appearing on small stages work in the city. Tel Aviv has an extensive network of city public libraries. More than 20. The Central Library of Tel Aviv, Beit Ariela, founded in 1886, is the oldest library of Israel. Her book funds contain more than 500,000 copies. Use of library is free for residents. Fine arts. Tel Avivsky Museum of Fine Arts, the most known of several tens Tel Aviv museums. Concerts, performances and representations take place in numerous concert halls, among which there is a Palace of Culture of Man, the Center of Theatrics of Golda Meir, Susan Dallel's Center, Sovta Theater and the House of Zionists of America. In addition, on streets of Tel Aviv it is possible to find a set of remarkable graffiti of both the Israeli and foreign artists. Architecture. One of interesting buildings of Tel Aviv is Dom Pagoda, constructed in 1925 on Alexander Levi's project. Tel Aviv is also the city of Massachusetts, building by houses in style Bauhaus. Tel Aviv is one of the most popular places for tourists of Liat at the international level, with big community Liat. The American journalist David Kaufman described the city as the place filled with spirit. We are Kvira. More typical for such cities as Sydney and San Francisco. In the city there takes place the well-known Parade of Pride, the biggest in Asia, annually attracting more than card people. In January 2008, the municipality of Tel Aviv founded the City Liat Center, providing all municipal and cultural services to Liat community under the same roof. In December 2008, Tel Aviv began to bring together a group of gays athletes for World Out Games 2009 in Copenhagen. Besides, in Tel Aviv there takes place the annual Festival of Movies of Liat. In the city there is a farmstead of the Just Tabitha, of the Russian spiritual mission in Jerusalem, in the territory of which Apostle Peter's Church, which is in jurisdiction of Russian Orthodox Church, is located. Besides considerable number of synagogues, there are several mosques. Also in Jaffa and the southern Tel Aviv churches are located Catholic, Protestant and Armenian. On all city there are about 500 Orthodox synagogues, most of them act only on Saturdays and holidays. In Tel Aviv there is also the largest reformist synagogue of Israel, Beit Daniel, whose parishioners during the different periods of time were, in particular, Yair Lapid, Rami Kleinstein and Tzvaya Valden. Peraz. Considerable part of the population of Yaffo Muslims. In number of mosques Anaka al-Baker, Siksik, Mahmudia. The largest in Yaffo. And others works in the city. On the embankment of Tel Aviv the big mosque Hassan Bek is located. Science and technology. Tel Aviv holds the 5th place of rating of expert market. The city is one of global leaders in quantity of startups on square kilometer. In the city much the scientific and technological centers, firms working in the field of high technologies is located. Among them there are such companies as Google, Microsoft and Teva. In the city the Tel Avivsky Center of Fairs, where are held large technological exhibitions, is located. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.